Want to learn an hour of fun facts? Subscribe to Zarpado. We are starting now. The Roman Emperor Caligula supposedly appointed his favorite horse, Incitatus, as consul and showered him with a marble stable, an ivory manger, and a necklace of precious stones. In reality, Incitatus had his own house, 18 servants, and was fed oats with gold flakes. The Sahara Desert is not the largest desert in the world. The largest is Antarctica, which is a polar desert. It is defined as a desert due to its extremely low annual precipitation. The best-selling album of all time is Michael Jackson's Thriller. Released in 1982, it was the first album to produce 7 top 10 singles on the Billboard charts. Its success was not only due to the music, but also because it transformed the public perception of the artist and, especially, the format of music videos, which came to be considered an art form with complex narratives. In the Dutch city of Baarle-Nassau and the Belgian city of Baarle-Hertog, the border between the two countries runs through houses, gardens, and shops, often marked by white lines painted on the ground. The language with the most words is Korean, which has over 1 million words listed in its dictionaries. However, English has the largest vocabulary in everyday use. The country with the highest average annual rainfall is India, specifically the village of Mawsynram in the Meghalaya region. It receives an average of more than 470 inches of rain per year. The most expensive coffee in the world is Kopi Luwak, which originates from Indonesia. Its production process is highly unusual and unique. The coffee beans are ingested and excreted by a civet, a small mammal. The digestive process ferments the beans, and after being collected from the droppings, they are cleaned and roasted, giving them a supposedly smoother and less bitter flavor. January 19th is World Popcorn Day. The date commemorates the cultural and gastronomic importance of this snack globally. The speed of sound is much faster through water than through air. In air, it is about 1,125 feet per second, while in water, it is approximately 4,900 feet per second. The Louvre Museum in Paris, home to the Mona Lisa, has such a vast exhibition space that if a visitor wanted to spend just 30 seconds admiring each of the 35,000 works of art on display, they would need approximately 100 days to see the entire museum without breaks. George Washington never lived in the White House. He died in 1799, a year before its construction was completed. The first president to move into the executive mansion was John Adams in 1800. The Beatles never read music, meaning they could not read sheet music in the traditional sense. They learned to play and compose by ear, relying on their innate talent and understanding of harmony. This is surprising considering the complexity and lasting influence of their vast discography on modern popular music. The Turritopsis dohrnii, known as the immortal jellyfish, is the only known creature capable of completely reversing its life cycle, returning to its juvenile stage after reaching sexual maturity. The first computer mouse was invented in 1964 by Douglas Engelbart and was made of wood. It was called a mouse because the connecting cable, which came out the back, resembled a rodent's tail. It was not until years later that the invention was commercialized and adapted to plastic and modern design. The Academy Award for Best Picture has never been won by a direct sequel. Only The Godfather Part 2 has won in that category, but it is considered both a prequel and a sequel. Sumo is the only sport where the highest rank attainable is Yokozuna, Grand Champion. A wrestler must achieve a level of consistency and dignity that transcends simply winning tournaments. The tradition of placing candles on birthday cakes originated in ancient Greece. Lit candles on round cakes were used to honor the moon goddess Artemis, as the cake represented the moon. Ketchup originated in China as a fermented fish sauce, not a tomato sauce. British sailors brought it to Europe, where the recipe was modified until tomatoes were added in the 19th century. The snow that falls on Dorothy and her friends as they leave the poppy field in The Wizard of Oz was not harmless artificial snow. It was actually asbestos fiber, a material now known to be highly carcinogenic. At that time, asbestos was commonly used in film for its fire-resistant properties and realistic appearance. September 3rd is World Skyscraper Day. The date commemorates the birth of architect Louis Sullivan, considered the father of the skyscraper, and celebrates the wonders of vertical engineering. The Egyptian pharaoh Tutankhamun did not die from a curse or from entirely clear causes, but research suggests he may have died from complications of severe malaria, combined with an infection in a broken leg. The young king suffered from genetic deformities due to royal inbreeding and walked with a cane, which was discovered through the analysis of his mummy and belongings. A day on Venus lasts longer than a year on Venus. The planet takes 243 Earth days to rotate on its axis, but only 225 Earth days to orbit the Sunday. Rainbows are actually complete circles, but from the Earth's surface we only see the top half. To see the complete circle, you would need to be on an airplane or a very high mountain and look down. The Dead Sea, which borders Jordan and Israel, is not actually a sea, but a salt lake. Furthermore, its altitude is about 1,400 feet below sea level, making it the lowest point on Earth. Its high salinity allows humans to float effortlessly due to the greater density of the water. The Nika Caves in Chihuahua, Mexico, are home to the Cave of Crystals, which contains the largest gypsum selenite crystals in the world. Some measure up to about 39 feet long and weigh 55 tons. The cave is extremely hot and humid, about 136 degrees Fahrenheit and 90% humidity, making it virtually inaccessible without special suits. King Louis XIV of France, known as the Sun King, bathed only 3 times in his entire life, according to some court records, due to the prevailing medical belief at the time that hot water was harmful to health. In Sweden, there is a tradition called fika, a social break taken from work. It typically involves drinking coffee and eating cakes or scones, and is considered essential for productivity and well-being. Botaoshi is a Japanese sport that resembles a chaotic version of Capture the Flag. It is played with 2 teams of 150 players each, 75 attackers and 75 defenders, who fight to knock down a wooden pole between 10 and 16 feet high. It is known for its intensity and the large number of people participating simultaneously. In China, black rice vinegar is often drunk as a digestive tonic or even used in traditional medicine. It is less acidic than white vinegar, and its flavor is complex and malty. It is drunk neat in small cups or with a little honey to balance its taste. Tigers have striped skin, not just striped fur. If their stripes are shaved, they will still be visible on their skin, and each tiger's stripe pattern is as unique as a human fingerprint. The most expensive cheese in the world is moose cheese produced on a farm in Sweden. It sells for thousands of dollars for about 2 pounds of cheese and is made exclusively from the milk of 3 female moose. Steven Spielberg and George Lucas play a lifelong prank on each other. Every time they release a film, instead of accepting money from the other, they sign an agreement for a small percentage of the rival film's profits. The best-selling song of all time in terms of physical, digital, and streaming sales is White Christmas by Bing Crosby, with over 50 million copies sold worldwide. The world record for the fastest goal in football history was scored in under 2 seconds. It was netted by Gavin Stokes in a Scottish Youth League match in 2017, taking advantage of a gust of wind from the kickoff. The production cost of James Cameron's 1997 film Titanic was approximately $200 million, which was more expensive than the actual cost of building the original ocean liner from 1910 to 1912, adjusted for inflation. This makes the film a more expensive project than the real shipwreck it depicted. The Ferrari car brand's logo, the Cavallino Rampante, prancing horse, was originally the personal emblem of a famous Italian fighter pilot, Francesco Baracca, who died in World War I. Baracca's mother asked Enzo Ferrari to wear it, as it would bring him good luck in his racing cars. The world's first wrought iron bridge was the Iron Bridge in Coalbrookdale, England, completed in 1779. Its construction marked the beginning of the Industrial Revolution and the Iron Age. The first video game to have an Easter egg, a hidden message or feature, was Atari's Adventure in 1979. Programmer Warren Robinette secretly included it so he could have his name on the game, as the company did not allow programmers to receive credit. The oldest known living organism by name is Methuselah, a bristlecone pine from the Great Basin in California. It is estimated to be over 4,800 years old, making it older than the pyramids of Egypt. The first popular mass-market electronic game was Simon in 1978, a memory game that required repeating a sequence of lights and sounds, marking the beginning of interactive electronic games. Red blood cells, which carry oxygen throughout the body, have an average lifespan of only 120 days before being replaced by new cells. In South Korea, there is a tradition known as the fan complex. Some people believe that if you sleep in a closed room with an electric fan running, you will die of suffocation or hypothermia. Although there is no scientific evidence, many people avoid using fans without a window open. The border between the United States and Canada is the longest land border in the world, at about 5,500 miles. One interesting feature of this border is that along its length, there is a strip about 20 feet wide free of trees and structures, known as the growth-free zone. Reykjavik, the capital of Iceland, is the northernmost sovereign capital city in the world. In winter, it experiences very few hours of sunlight, while in summer it can have almost endless sunny days. In Finland, if you obtain a doctorate, you receive a top hat and a sword, traditional symbols representing freedom of inquiry and the defense of scientific truth. The Michelin Man, or Bibendum, the Michelin mascot, is made of stacked tires. Its design stems from co-founder Edouard Michelin's remark upon seeing a pile of tires that with arms and legs, it would resemble a man. It is said that it initially depicted a drunken man drinking from a cup filled with broken glass. March 30th is International Zero Waste Day. It was established by the UN to raise awareness about waste prevention and promote the transition to a circular economy. The leaves of the Victoria Amazonica plant, a giant water lily from the Amazon basin, can support the weight of a small child. Their raised edges help distribute the weight evenly. Saffron, the world's most expensive spice, comes from the stigmas of the Crocus sativus flower. Approximately 150,000 flowers are required to produce just over 2 pounds of saffron. Harvesting it is a laborious manual process, as each flower produces only 3 strands, justifying its extremely high price. Ice diving is an extreme sport where divers plunge into frozen lakes through a hole secured by a rope. In Finland, divers even compete to swim the greatest distance under the ice without tanks, demonstrating extraordinary breath control and cold resistance. King George I of Great Britain did not speak English well. He was born and raised in Germany and often communicated with his ministers in French, as it was the common language of the European aristocracy. The ancient Greeks did not have just one god of time, but 2: Chronos, chronological, linear time, and Kairos, opportune time, the right moment. The most fragrant fruit in the world is the durian, popular in Southeast Asia. Its odor is so strong and unpleasant, often compared to dirty socks or sewage, that it is banned in many hotels, airports, and public transportation in countries like Singapore and Thailand. The fastest bird in the world is the peregrine falcon, which can reach speeds of over 200 miles per hour during its hunting dive. The longest tennis match in history lasted 11 hours and 5 minutes, played over 3 days at Wimbledon in 2010. The final score was 7-0, 68 inches the 5th set. Some bird species, such as ducks, can sleep with one eye open to watch for predators. This ability is called unihemispheric sleep. The famous Renaissance architect and artist Leonardo da Vinci was ambidextrous, meaning he could write and draw with both hands. He also often wrote his notes in mirror code, from right to left, making it easier for him to write with his left hand while making it harder for others to read. The American sitcom Frasier holds the record for the most Emmy Awards won by a scripted television series. It won 37 awards, including 5 consecutive wins for Outstanding Comedy Series. The human liver can fully regenerate from as little as 25% of its original mass. This regenerative ability is unique among the body's solid organs and is crucial for procedures such as living donor liver transplants. It can return to its full size in a few weeks. Sunlight takes approximately 8 minutes and 20 seconds to reach Earth. If the sun were to turn off right now, we would not notice until after that time. Diamonds are made of carbon, the same element found in the graphite of a pencil, but the immense pressure and heat beneath the Earth create the diamond's ultra-dense crystalline structure. On the island of La Gomera, in the Canary Islands, Spain, there is a whistled language called Silbo Gomero. Locals use it to communicate across the island's deep ravines and valleys. With simple, high-pitched sounds, they can convey a complete message over 2 miles away without shouting. The Sargasso Sea, located in the North Atlantic, is the only sea in the world without land shores. It is bordered by ocean currents that create a gyre and accumulate large quantities of floating seaweed called sargassum, from which it gets its name. There is a type of lightning called ball lightning or fireball lightning. It is a very rare atmospheric electrical phenomenon that appears as a floating, luminous sphere that can last much longer than regular lightning. Ants have the ability to carry objects weighing up to 50 times their own body weight. This is due to the high strength-to-weight ratio of their small bodies. The windiest place on Earth is Commonwealth Bay in Antarctica. Winds often exceed 150 miles per hour, keeping the snow close to the ground and hindering the establishment of life. Caber toss is a Scottish Highlands event where competitors throw a long, heavy log to caber it. The goal is not to throw it far, but to get the log to spin in the air and land in a 12 o'clock position directly away from the thrower, demonstrating strength and balance. Tonic water fluoresces blue under black ultraviolet light. This is due to the presence of quinine in the drink, the ingredient that gives it its bitter taste. Quinine absorbs UV radiation and re-emits it as visible light, creating that characteristic glow. During the French Revolution, the calendar was changed. A republican calendar with 10 days per week and 12 months, all with 30 days, was implemented before being abandoned by Napoleon. The ancient Greeks often voted using broken pottery fragments called ostraka. The word ostracism, meaning to exile someone, comes from this voting practice. Golf has been played on the moon. Astronaut Alan Shepard hit 2 golf balls on the lunar surface during the Apollo 14 mission in 1971. He used a 6-iron head adapted to a digging tool. He estimated that the second ball traveled miles and miles due to the low gravity. The Starship Enterprise was named after the U.S. Navy aircraft carrier USS Enterprise, which played a significant role during World War II. The world's longest-running animated television program still on the air is Saze-san, a Japanese series that has been airing since 1969 and has over 7,800 episodes in short format. Apple's original logo was not a bitten apple, but a drawing of Isaac Newton sitting under a tree with an apple about to fall on his head. The logo was designed in 1976. Steve Jobs felt it was too outdated and quickly changed it to the iconic bitten apple design. Actor Vin Diesel, known for his deep voice, has voiced Groot in the Marvel movies in 15 different languages. Even though the character only says, "I am Groot," he had to master the specific intonation and meaning behind the phrase in each language to maintain the emotional impact. August 17th is celebrated as National Lazy Day in several countries, an unofficial day that encourages taking a break from daily tasks and relaxing. Quasi-crystals are ordered structures that, nevertheless, never repeat identically, defying the traditional rule of crystallography, periodicity. Their discovery in 1982 earned Dan Shechtman the Nobel Prize in Chemistry. If an object falls into a black hole, time slows down for it relative to an external observer, a phenomenon predicted by general relativity. Theoretically, the object would never cross the event horizon for the external observer. In Gansu Province, China, lies Zhangye Dongxia National Geological Park, famous for its rainbow mountains. The coloration is due to the deposition of different types of sandstone and minerals over 24 million years, which oxidized and solidified into the spectacular colored layers. The Amazon River is the world's largest river by volume, and its flow is so massive that it injects enough fresh water into the Atlantic Ocean to provide drinking water hundreds of miles offshore. Its discharge accounts for about 20% of the total fresh water entering the world's oceans. The golden poison dart frog, Philobates terribilis, is the most poisonous vertebrate in the world. A single gram, about 1/30th of an ounce, of its venom could kill more than 1,000 mice, or up to 10 adult humans. In the first modern Olympic marathon in Athens in 1896, the winner was a Greek shepherd, Spiridon Louis, who had never run a marathon before. In the final stretch, the crowd was so excited that the princes of Greece ran alongside him to accompany him to the finish line in the Panathenaic Stadium. The first floating ice restaurant was built on the Neva River in St. Petersburg in the 18th century, serving drinks and snacks to high society. It was a temporary structure, erected when the river froze sufficiently, and was considered an engineering marvel and a symbol of winter luxury. The dwarf shrew is the smallest mammal in the world by weight, weighing around 0.07 ounces. It has to eat constantly to survive, consuming twice its body weight each day. In 1912, a man named Franz Reichelt died while attempting to jump from the Eiffel Tower with a parachute he had designed himself, all while being filmed. The name of the Adidas brand of athletic shoes is actually an acronym formed from the name of its founder, Adi Dassler. His brother, Rudolf Dassler, founded the rival athletic shoe company, Puma, after a family dispute in 1948, creating one of the most famous sports rivalries. Viking helmets did not actually have horns. This popularized image arose largely from costume designs for a 19th century Richard Wagner opera. In Norse mythology, the end of the world is known as Ragnarok. It includes a great battle, natural disasters, and the submersion of the world in water, only for it to re-emerge afterward. In the 17th century, tulips became such a coveted luxury item in Holland that their bulbs were traded on a stock exchange. This speculation created tulip mania, the first recorded economic bubble, where the value of a single bulb became equivalent to that of a house before the market collapsed. Although we are taught that gravity is what keeps us in orbit around the sun, the laws of physics are symmetrical. In theory, instead of the Earth orbiting the sun, one could consider the sun to orbit the Earth if using a frame of reference centered on our planet. Although this is not practical for modern physics, the largest number of spectators at a single football match was recorded at the Maracanã in Rio de Janeiro in 1950 during the World Cup final between Brazil and Uruguay, with an official attendance of 173,850 people, although it is estimated that more than 200,000 attended. The character of Superman was created by two Cleveland high school students, Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster, in 1933. Originally, he was a telepathic villain. The transmission electron microscope, TEM, can magnify objects up to 10 million times, allowing scientists to see individual atoms and structures at the molecular level. It is a crucial advance over the optical microscope, which is limited by the wavelength of light. The Tatacoa Desert in Colombia is not a desert in the strict sense, but a tropical dry forest. However, its landscape of eroded earth and ochre and reddish colors, along with its extreme temperatures, give it a desert-like appearance. It is a key location for astronomical observation due to its low-light pollution. Mount Thor, on Baffin Island, Canada, has the world's longest vertical drop at about 4,100 feet. It is an extreme destination for climbers and base jumpers, boasting the tallest rock face on the planet with an angle of nearly 105 degrees in some sections. Canada has the longest coastline in the world. Walking its entire length, including its thousands of islands, would cover a distance of over 1,250,000 miles. King Charles II of Spain was known as the Bewitched. This is believed to be the result of centuries of inbreeding within the House of Habsburg, which caused him serious health and cognitive problems. The original sushi chefs in Japan used to wrap fish in fermented rice to preserve it in nare-sushi. The rice was discarded. Only later was the rice eaten along with the fish. The Energizer Bunny was created in 1988 as a parody of the mascot of rival battery company Duracell, which also used a bunny in some advertisements. The idea was that the Energizer Bunny would never stop, creating the popularity of the phrase, "keep going and going and going." The most successful and famous gladiators of ancient Rome were often treated like pop celebrities. Their remains have been found with diets rich in vegetables and calcium, suggesting meticulous training and care. Although most people blink about 15 to 20 times per minute, when we read or look at a computer screen, we blink much less, which can lead to eye strain and dry eyes. Elephants are the only creatures, besides humans and some primates, that appear to participate in burial rituals. They revisit the bones of their dead, touch the remains, and remain silent. Lightning can travel through the air at speeds of up to about 137,000 miles per hour. Although light travels much faster, it is the tremendous speed of lightning that makes it seem almost instantaneous, and that allows the sound of thunder to be heard so soon after the flash of light. The Pastry War of 1838 was a conflict between Mexico and France. The name comes from a claim for damages filed by a French pastry chef in Mexico City for a pastry shop damaged in the riots. France demanded exorbitant compensation, which escalated into a military invasion of Mexico. The Baghdad batteries, found in Iraq, are a collection of artifacts dating from the Parthian Empire between about 250 BC and 224 AD. They are clay vessels containing a copper cylinder. Some scientists propose that they may have been primitive galvanic batteries, perhaps used to electroplate objects. Helium is the only element that cannot be frozen. It remains liquid even near absolute zero, unless extremely high pressure is applied. The original tennis ball was not yellow, but white or black so that it would be visible on grass courts. It was changed to fluorescent yellow in 1972 on the recommendation of David Attenborough, the naturalist, as it was easier to follow on television. M&Ms were created in 1941 to allow soldiers to eat chocolate without it melting in their hands. The original slogan, "They melt in your mouth, not in your hand," referred directly to the hard candy coating that protected the chocolate from the heat. The most poisonous fish known is the stonefish. Its camouflaged rock-like appearance is a trap, and its dorsal spines can inject a venom that is potentially fatal to humans. The heaviest watermelon ever grown weighed about 350 pounds and was grown by Chris Kent of Tennessee in 2013. Michael Phelps, the most decorated Olympian, can consume up to 12,000 calories a day during training, which is equivalent to the caloric intake of 6 average adult men. The song "Happy Birthday to You" was copyrighted until 2016. Before that, if it was used in a film or publicly for profit, a license fee had to be paid. In the film Poltergeist, the rain of raw meat in the kitchen is actually animal entrails that rotted during filming. The smell was so unbearable that the shots had to be sped up. Director Tobe Hooper wanted a visceral and repulsive effect, and he achieved it at a high olfactory cost. During World War II, the British Army used inflatable tanks as decoys to mislead German reconnaissance aircraft about troop locations. The character of Sherlock Holmes never uttered the phrase, "Elementary, my dear Watson," in any of Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's original works. The phenomenon of fish rain has been documented in various parts of the world, where live or dead fish fall from the sky. The most widely accepted explanation is that powerful tornadoes or waterspouts suck fish up from rivers or other bodies of water and then deposit them inland as the storm weakens. The Gran Cenote of Tulum, Mexico, is part of a vast underground system of interconnected caves and rivers. These cenotes were considered by the Maya to be the entrance to the underworld, or Xibalba. Today, they are famous diving destinations known for their crystal-clear waters and submerged stalactites. The Andes Mountains, which stretch across South America, are the world's longest continental mountain range, extending over 4,300 miles. It crosses 7 countries and is home to Aconcagua, the highest peak in the Americas. Chess boxing is a hybrid sport where competitors alternate rounds of chess and boxing. It requires both physical strength and mental skill. The match can be won by knockout or checkmate, making it a unique test of intelligence and endurance. The first registered pizzeria in the United States was Lombardi's, opened in 1905 in Little Italy, New York. It was originally a grocery store that began selling paper-wrapped pizzas to go, as charcoal ovens were prohibited in homes. The pirate Mary Read served in the British Navy during the War of the Spanish Succession, disguised as a man. She later became a pirate alongside the famous Anne Bonny. The two women dressed in men's clothing during battles and were known for being fierce fighters. Roman coins were often engraved with the profiles of their emperors. When an emperor died or was deposed, a process called damnatio memoriae, condemnation of memory, was ordered. As part of this, the faces of fallen emperors were erased or scraped off coins in circulation. The word salary comes from the Latin word salarium, which refers to salt. In ancient times, Roman soldiers often received a ration of salt or money to buy it, as it was a very valuable commodity. In American football, the Super Bowl trophy is called the Vince Lombardi Trophy and is made by Tiffany & Co. It is made entirely of sterling silver and takes 4 months to craft. The most common mineral on Earth is called bridgmanite. It is composed of magnesium and iron silicate and is the main component of the lower mantle, which is found at great depths. It was named after Nobel laureate Percy Bridgman. Glaciers are so large and heavy that they can warp space-time around them, albeit infinitesimally. While their gravitational effect is minuscule, it is measurable and adds to the warping caused by the Earth. Their melting is changing gravity locally. March 28th is Earth Hour, a global event that encourages people to turn off their lights for 1 hour to reflect on the need to take action against climate change. Mount Chimborazo, an inactive volcano in Ecuador, is the point on Earth farthest from the Earth's center. Although Mount Everest is higher above sea level, the Earth's bulge around the equator gives Chimborazo the record for greatest distance. In the Tanah Toraja region of Indonesia, families often keep the bodies of their deceased relatives at home for months or even years before a funeral. They are treated as sick, given food, and included in family life until an expensive funeral can be arranged. The song listed in the Guinness Book of World Records as the longest officially released song is The Rise and Fall of Bossa Nova by Pip Cirque. It lasts 13 hours, 23 minutes, and 32 seconds. It was released in 2017 and surpasses other extended pieces of ambient and experimental music in length. The Statue of Liberty is not green. It is made of copper, and its current color is the result of copper oxidation, known as patina. This green coating protects the metal beneath from further corrosion. The original color was a bright reddish brown. Aluminum foil has two sides, one shiny and one dull, due to the manufacturing process where two layers are pressed and rolled together. Contrary to popular belief, there is no significant difference in its ability to retain heat or cold, as the difference in reflectivity is minimal. In China, there is a bread beer made with a recipe that dates back to ancient Egypt. Bread scraps are used in the fermentation process, making the beer a way to preserve and consume carbohydrates and giving it a more robust and full-bodied flavor. The first film released on DVD digital video disc was Blade Runner in Japan in 1996, followed by The Fugitive. This new format offered superior image quality to VHS and was the turning point for high-definition television. The most translated book in the world after the Bible is The Little Prince by Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. It has been translated into more than 300 languages and dialects. Its popularity stems from its simple language and profound philosophical message about life and childhood. Antarctica contains approximately 90% of all the world's ice. If all the ice in Antarctica were to melt, global sea levels would rise by about 200 feet, enough to submerge most of the world's coastal cities. The world's fastest typewriter was invented by stenographer Michel Sesta. It could type more than 200 words per minute. It was based on a phonetic system that simplified typing entire words with just a few finger movements. If the human body remains awake for more than 19 hours, the resulting cognitive impairment is equivalent to that of a person with a blood alcohol level of 0.05%, affecting coordination and reaction time. Lou is an adventurous dog who rappels alongside his owners. His humans, May Creer and Carlson, bought him special equipment so he can accompany them on all their expeditions. And if you are into details, the spiders you see were made of blown glass with such precision that they look real. They were created by the Class Symphony Studio, experts in manipulating glass with tiny torches. This family of artisans does not just create spiders. They also make sculptures of scorpions, fish, birds, and octopuses. Despite having sold more than 17,000 pieces, their spiders are the most popular. In the world of extreme sports, the asphalt sled stands out for its speed. This type of skateboard is ridden sideways and can exceed about 60 miles per hour thanks to its aerodynamic design. Another risky activity is volcano boarding. It consists of climbing a volcano and launching oneself down its slope on a board. In places like Cerro Negro in Nicaragua, it is a dangerous but highly sought-after attraction. Those who practice it must face toxic gases, sharp ash, and even the possibility of falling into molten lava. Alexandra Lear's photographs showcase otherworldly, mutant vehicles. This German artist fused her love of cars, the desert, and art into a single photographic collection. She met engineers and designers who had created cars so unique they seemed to have come from a science fiction film. Moving on to the countryside, Hannah Simpson trained a cow to act like a horse. Lacking the resources to own a real horse, she turned Layla, a 6-month-old calf, into her faithful companion. Today, more than 12 years later, the cow still responds like a trained horse, an achievement that proves dedication can break down barriers. The Extreme Motorcycle Show in a metal sphere uses centrifugal force to perform stunts on vertical and horizontal walls. This adrenaline-pumping and skillful show leaves everyone speechless, perfect for speed and thrill lovers. The sand painting that changes landscapes when flipped is a masterpiece of creativity. The sand falls, forming different landscapes with controlled flow speed. Each turn reveals a new scene, creating a unique visual experience, perfect for lovers of interactive art. In contrast, this creature known as a rabbit cat is not a hybrid of two species. It is actually a rabbit with a congenital malformation that alters its gait. Although its appearance is confusing, its owners care for it with great affection, debunking the myth circulating online about its origin. Antonio Romero Montero has the world's largest video game collection. It exceeds 20,000 titles, and he owns more than 100 different consoles. His childhood dream was to own as many video games as possible, and clearly, he has more than fulfilled it. Speaking of artistic innovation, there is a screen that projects images using bubbles. It was created by Ritard Jara for a festival in Japan. The mechanism uses pulleys and fans to lift a net impregnated with soap. When activated, it releases bubbles that form a kind of visual wall. In the middle of the Utah desert, artificial ponds dyed a deep blue look like they belong on another planet. The company Intrepid Potash manages them from its headquarters in Denver. Its mission is to extract potassium-rich salts used in agricultural fertilizers. The color comes from a special dye that accelerates evaporation in the sun. On the other side of the continent, in Germany, a kindergarten shaped like a cat was built. The Wolfartsweier Kindergarten, located in Karlsruhe, has eyes for windows and a tail-shaped slide. The building was designed by Tommy Ungerer and Isla Suzanne Yundel in 2011. In Japan, gyms are also a surprise. In Tokyo, the maid gym offered exercise routines assisted by girls dressed as maids. For $67, clients received personalized training, sports drinks, and protein shakes. The Flippo Flip metal toy rolls and spins on the table, ideal for training patience and coordination. This classic toy is perfect for all ages, offering hours of entertainment, a toy that never goes out of style. Howard Lee, an artist of hyper-realistic optical illusions, creates drawings and paintings that look real. He plays with visual perception and explains his artistic process in videos. His works are fascinating and challenge perceived reality, a true master of illusion. Speaking of unusual luxuries, in Switzerland, mountain air is bottled and sold for $16 for about a quart. A single breath of pure air is all it offers. But in highly polluted Asian cities, it becomes a luxury many are willing to pay for. In the same technological vein, Japan developed Morpheus, the first robot capable of playing ping pong with humans. Created by the company Omron, this android not only throws balls but also responds with artificial intelligence based on the opponent's skill level. Now, something many people eat without knowing it, apple seeds contain cyanide. Although they are toxic, the dose in each seed is minimal. For them to be truly dangerous, you would have to crush and chew at least 50. Inception spinning tops in metal are exact. High-precision replicas of the spinning top from the movie Inception. Capable of spinning for up to 10 minutes on normal surfaces, there are 16 different models. They are collectible items and serve as a visual distraction and conversation piece. Another curious topic is the unusual names of medications. Every drug begins with a chemical name that describes its molecular structure, which is why it sounds so complex. Then, the World Health Organization assigns it an international generic name, such as paracetamol or ibuprofen. Finally, pharmaceutical companies create a brand name to differentiate it in the market. These names follow strict rules to avoid dangerous confusion between patients and doctors. In 1989, one of the most unusual cases in the world of video games occurred when a 9-year-old boy named Clark Tim sued Nintendo, Major League Baseball, and the company LJN. He believed that the game Major League Baseball would include real player names due to the official license, but when he played, he found that none appeared. Although the lawsuit was unsuccessful, the case became famous because it showed that even a child could take on industry giants. In the scientific field, one of the most promising research projects of recent years focuses on the elimination of HIV. Thanks to CRISPR, a tool that works like molecular scissors, scientists have managed to cut the DNA of the virus hidden in human cells during laboratory and animal tests. HIV is extremely difficult to eradicate because it integrates into the host genome, but this technique opens a door that previously seemed impossible. If we travel even further back, we find a relic of the Roman Empire that still stands, the Appian Way. Built in 312 BC, It was one of the most advanced roads of its time and was known as the Queen of Roads. It connected Rome with the city of Brindisi and allowed the military and commercial expansion of the empire. The amazing thing is that today, you can still walk on its original stones as if you were traveling back in time. Another useful fact is that chocolate can be deadly for dogs due to theobromine and caffeine. These substances, although safe for humans, are metabolized very slowly in dogs, building up in their bodies and causing neurological or cardiac damage. Dark chocolate is especially dangerous because it contains higher levels of theobromine. A small piece can be enough to put their health at risk. The Karakoram Highway was built between China and Pakistan over more than 20 years, crossing glaciers, seismic zones, and unprotected cliffs, earning it the reputation of the eighth wonder of the world. At over 15420 feet above sea level, it remains dangerous due to avalanches and falls. Thousands of workers took part in its construction, and it is estimated that more than 1,000 died in landslides, explosions, and snowstorms that made normal progress impossible. In Chiapas, there is a town called Chamula, where Coca-Cola is so much a part of daily life that it is more important than water in many homes. Its inhabitants consume more than 210 gallons per person per year, and the beverage is used in religious rituals led by local shamans. During the ceremonies, Coca-Cola is drunk to cleanse the spirit and expel bad energies, something that replaced wine or holy water in certain traditional rituals. In Las Vegas, the Circus Hotel has gained notoriety as one of the city's most unsettling places, despite its cheerful, family-friendly circus theme. Since its opening in 1968, it has accumulated stories of crimes, suicides, and alleged hauntings that have added to its dark legend. Visitors have claimed to hear voices, see shadows, and feel oppressive atmospheres in some rooms where paranormal activity is said to be constant. Surprisingly, its prices are much lower than other hotels on the Strip, which fuels the idea that something sinister lurks there. Frankie Muniz, star of Malcolm in the Middle, left acting just as his career seemed to be taking off. After years of television success, he decided to leave Hollywood and dedicate himself entirely to professional motorsports, his true passion since childhood. Today, Frankie Muniz competes as a driver, training on real racetracks far from the cameras and the celebrity lifestyle he enjoyed during his childhood and adolescence. In Edinburgh, the capital of Scotland, the workday begins around 10 in the morning and usually ends around 4 in the afternoon, a rhythm that fosters tranquility and quality of life. The city prohibits skyscrapers and restores old buildings to preserve its heritage. Stitch, Disney's famous experiment 626, was designed inspired by the Eye, a lemur from Madagascar with large ears, round eyes, and a small body that strikingly resembles the animated character. This nocturnal creature has always fascinated people with its unusual and strange appearance. On cruise ships, the word "Bravo" announced over the loudspeaker means there is a fire on board, even though it sounds like simple applause. The code Alpha refers to a medical emergency, while Oscar alerts that someone has fallen overboard. PVI indicates that a passenger has vomited in a public area. These codes exist to prevent panic among travelers and allow the crew to act quickly in delicate situations. Anthony Hopkins won the Oscar for Best Actor in 1992 for his portrayal of Hannibal Lecter in The Silence of the Lambs, despite appearing on screen for only 25 minutes. His gaze, his voice, and his intense presence were enough to create the most memorable villain in modern cinema. In Japan, McDonald's created an exclusive Nintendo DSi console to train its employees through a program called the E-Crew Development Program. The software taught them how to prepare hamburgers, use the cash register, and follow protocols as if it were a real interactive video game. These consoles were never released to the public and are now so rare that they fetch prices exceeding $1,000 among collectors. Bailey, a mini sheepadoodle, went viral thanks to his almost perfect resemblance to Snoopy, the iconic dog from Peanuts. His white fur with black ears and his sweet expression led thousands of users to say he looked like a real-life version of the character created by Charles M. Schulz. Sadio Mane, the Senegalese football star, invested a large part of his fortune in improving his hometown of Bambali, building a hospital, a school, a post office, and a gas station. Thanks to these projects, thousands of people gained access to services that were previously unavailable there. In Japan, there are Bohan Yokuraboru balls, orange spheres filled with bright paint that are thrown at fleeing criminals to mark them. The paint remains on their clothing and skin for several days, making them easier to locate. The most dangerous tree in the world is the manchineel tree, found in parts of the Caribbean and Central America. Its sap causes severe burns, and even raindrops falling on its leaves can cause blisters on the skin. Even its fruit, similar to an apple, can be deadly. There was once a pig that resembled a sheep due to its curly, woolly coat. It was called the Mangalika pig and originated in Hungary. Its blonde, black, or reddish coat protected it from the coldest winters of Central Europe, making it a very hardy breed. In the mid-20th century, it was nearly extinct, displaced by more commercially viable breeds that brought it to the brink of disappearing. A group of Hungarian farmers rescued it, and thanks to their efforts, the breed survived, and its meat eventually became a luxury delicacy prized on exclusive menus. In 2015, Microsoft built the world's quietest room in Redmond, Washington, an anechoic chamber capable of absorbing 100% of ambient sound. With wedge-shaped panels, concrete and steel, it achieved a Guinness World Record with a level of -20.3 decibels, allowing one to hear the movement of bones, blood, and even the digestive system. Most people cannot stand to stay there for more than a few minutes because the brain goes into overdrive due to the complete lack of stimuli. Its construction cost over $500,000, and today it serves to test devices that require extreme acoustic precision. In Spain, there is a castle that directly inspired Walt Disney when creating the Queen's Castle in Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, one of the most iconic films in history. It is the Alcázar of Segovia, located in the city of Segovia, an hour from Madrid, and famous for its ship-like shape and pointed towers. This imposing medieval architecture gave Disney the perfect visual reference to convey fantasy, magic, and elegance in his animated tale. It is currently open to the public, and each room is steeped in history, making it one of the most visited castles in the country. An engineer named Danny Manu created a headset called Mayu Click, capable of translating up to 37 languages in real time without an internet connection. This invention revolutionized communication during travel, international meetings, or situations where understanding another language was a challenge. The goal has always been to break down language barriers and allow people from different cultures to connect without relying on external applications. Oymyakon in Siberia is known as the coldest inhabited village in the world because its temperatures have reached as low as -94 degrees Fahrenheit. In this place, cars are never turned off because the engines would freeze, cell phones die in seconds, and even pen ink solidifies instantly. Despite this extreme climate, around 500 people live there, completely adapted to the permanent ice, with insulated houses and a diet rich in fat. In 2020, Oreo built a top-secret vault in Svalbard, Norway, very close to the global seed vault, to protect its recipe in case of a global catastrophe. The structure was designed to withstand earthquakes, explosions, and even apocalyptic scenarios, turning the project into an international viral phenomenon. Inside the vault were vacuum-sealed packages and a digitized copy of the original recipe, like a culinary treasure for the future. Although it began as a creative campaign, the vault actually exists and has become part of pop culture. After her divorce, Joanne Ussery decided to radically change her life by buying an old Boeing 727 for just $2,000 to convert it into her home. She invested around $30,000 more to install a kitchen, bathroom, living room, bedrooms, and even a bathtub inside the overhead compartment. The plane was parked facing a lake, and the cockpit became her reading room with a spectacular view. Her story became an example of personal reinvention, showing that with creativity, even an abandoned airplane can be turned into a welcoming home. In Abu Dhabi, you will find Ferrari World, the first indoor theme park dedicated to the Italian brand and home to the world's fastest roller coaster, Formula Rossa. This ride accelerates from 0 to 140 miles per hour in just 4.9 seconds using the same hydraulic system that launches aircraft from aircraft carriers. Visitors experience up to 4.8 Gs of force as they ride, making it an extreme experience for speed fans. In addition to the park itself, the entire building is shaped like the Ferrari logo, which is stunning from the air. James Harrison, known as the man with the golden arm, donated blood 1,173 times over 60 years and saved millions of lives. His blood contained a unique antibody that led to the anti-D treatment to prevent life-threatening Rh incompatibility in newborns. Before the treatment, thousands of babies died or suffered brain damage each year, so his contribution had an enormous impact on global medicine. His motivation began at age 14 when he received life-saving transfusions after surgery and decided to give back. Every year, something extraordinary happens in the Black Rock Desert in Nevada when thousands of people create a temporary city called Black Rock City for the Burning Man Festival. At this event, there is no money, no advertising, and no famous artists. Everything is based on collaboration, art, and total self-sufficiency. Giant sculptures, mutant vehicles, and surreal works that seem otherworldly are built, creating an ephemeral community without traditional rules. At the end, a huge wooden figure called the Man is burned, and the city disappears completely, leaving the desert as it was. And that is all for now. Do not forget to like and subscribe for more fun facts with Zarpado.